Hi, family and friends. It's me and Tony. So, we just wanted to make a little video of our review on Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. So, we got express tickets through my friend who is a travel agent, Akilah Elander. Thank you, Akilah. But we went on Thursday, September the 7th of this year, 2023.
And I will not stress enough the importance of the express pass. The lines, you double back so much, and we'll talk about that later. Starting at the video, we want to go through and give it in the order we did it and what we thought at that time. We don't want to compare it to others that we hadn't been to yet at first, but later on we'll do some comparisons and some things like that. So you'll get a better idea of the express and what it means, because it can mean the difference of a bad experience and only hitting 3 or 4 of the haunted houses as to hitting them all. We were able to hit every one of them.
Yeah, I wanted to ensure that we hit all of them because there's actually 10 houses. So, and it's our first time doing it. It's his first time at Universal, period. My second time at Universal Studios, but both our first times at doing Halloween Horror Nights. All right, so when we first got there was a whole line of people. We got there just early enough right before they opened. And we waited for the opening ceremonies because we were kind of like in the middle, and it took some time to get through. It was super hot. Like, we were all drenched and cramped right next to each other, like, with all these people. And we had to figure out which side to go to, left or right, to actually, what do you call it? Like,
Queue up.
Scan in. Yeah, scan in. We had to queue up to scan in to get through the park. Anyways, Dr. Oddfellow was there. He is the main antagonist for the whole event. Usually, I think it's Jack the Clown, and this year it was Dr. Oddfellow. He's like the ringleader of some circus. I didn't watch the backstory, like the podcast, so I can't get too deep into that.
When we went into the park, it was a headache getting into the park at first, but people dispersed relatively quickly. You had 2 options: go straight ahead or go to the right. We chose to the right. What that did was cause us to go through the parks backward, through the letters. They had them lined up: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, all that, all 10 haunted houses.
From A to J.
Yeah, so we started backward, and the first house was Monsters Unmasked. Is that what it was?
Yes.
Monsters Unmasked. And it took a little bit of walking up into the lines. It was really cool. Lots of visuals, lots of entertainers, definitely places to drink. Restrooms were available, so it was really cool. We did notice that a lot of the people went to the left and we went to the right. So when we queued up for the first one, which was Monsters Unmasked, that gave us kind of a little bit of what to expect for the other ones. Of course, we had the Express, which was awesome. But when you queue up, you have a long walk of zigzagging through this little maze of stuff till you get there. And that really shows you how long they expect these lines to be on a busy day. At most that we ever saw it probably only reached about half capacity on the regular line, but the express line was still way shorter. And when I say half capacity, man, this line, I don't even know how to explain it. It felt like it was a mile long. It really did. It just went on forever. But we got up there really fast, and then we got into the first haunted house within 15 minutes. So that's the bonus.
And so the Monsters Unleashed was J. Those are thundering right now.
Was it Unleashed or Unmasked? I put it
Unmasked.
Okay.
It's Monsters Unmasked. And it was all the classic monsters. Dracula, the Hunchback, like
the Mummy,
all those characters.
Vampire.
But anyways, we're gonna go into the rating system now, from J to A, which is how we walked because we went counterclockwise. So for J, I gave it.
We didn't want to rate it best to worst. We didn't feel like that was necessary. So what we did was we just rated each of them on a 10 scale, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, because it felt a little unfair just to rate them at like worst to best or anything like that. But go ahead.
Yeah, so on a scale from 1 to 10, I gave Monsters Unmasked a 2. When we got in there, It was just really dark. Of course, I kind of like held onto his belt loop the whole time because I didn't know what to expect. I could only compare it to the haunted houses that we have here in Kentucky, and they get really scary. Anyways, I gave it a 2 because it was really dark, and most of the characters were wearing these kind of cheap-looking masks like you would get from the Spirit Halloween store. So it just wasn't scary. It was also a lot of missed scares just because of the timing. It felt like there was people in front of us and behind us that got scared, or actually the whole group just got missed. So it was kind of like me peeking in to see where the scare actors were and trying to see what they looked like, because we were just walking through just to walk through. So it was really, really quick. And when there was scares, I didn't know which direction to look, so I felt lost. And then before you know it, it was over. So that's why I gave it a 2.
I gave it a 2 also. This set a really bad tone for us walking into this because we were expecting Universal Studios videos. Everybody hypes them up. I feel like some of the videos are a little dishonest. Now, there's a couple things. If you get the scares, it could make it better. If you don't get the scares, it could make it worse. Now, I'm not going to compare it to anything else until we get to them. But it just wasn't good. You got sprayed with water a couple times. It felt like disgusting almost because you didn't see the scare for it to happen, and you just get sprayed.
It made us jump.
Yeah, it made you jump. It's like it was just a spray of water.
But it just surprised us because water just hit you. Like,
yeah, it just felt quick and cheesy and cheap. Maybe if we got some more of the scares. So what I recommend on all these to learn from this is if you're with a group, let them go a little bit, okay? Let them get ahead of you quite a bit and then go through. I know they're trying to force you through, but believe me, it'll be a better experience for you if you slow down.
Yeah, what we learned was that they allow big groups in at a time, and I'm pretty sure it's just to keep the queue going because since we had Express Pass, they let us kind of blend in with the regular line, so we didn't have to wait near as long, but we would get mixed in.
We just missed every scare on that one. It was kind of a letdown.
Just to, I guess, get the queue going. They just let too much people go through. All right, let's move on to the next house. Our second house that we went through was The Last of Us, and we were expecting a lot. I gave it a 3. I was super excited because he was super excited. I don't know much about it. I didn't really watch any of the show. I saw one episode and watched a little bit of the video gameplay on YouTube, but I didn't get very far. Anyways, I was expecting a lot more, so I gave it a 3. I thought the set was okay. The actors were good, but it wasn't scary. It was just like us walking through kind of a set, but I don't understand why it was even a haunted house because it wasn't scary. We just felt really let down because we expected so much more, and it was super quick. And then it just felt really crowded on both sides to like fully take it all in and enjoy it. I also didn't understand what was going on.
Definitely felt rushed through. I gave it a 4 out of the 10. Leading up to it, the queue just as long. You have to remember, when we went to the right, the first 3 haunted houses all exited through the same place. We didn't know that, so it was a lot of doubling back. Get to the next one, double all the way back to the exit, get to the next one. So Last of Us, same thing. The queue said it was like 60 minutes. Express made it like 15 minutes. We didn't wait long.
But it was still longer than Monsters Unleashed.
Yeah,
or
longer than
Unmasked.
Monsters Unleashed.
Unmasked
or whatever. But going up to it, you had the music, the theme song. You had the big art on the wall. It was really, I was expecting, I don't want to compare it to anything else, but I was expecting high grade. The finances have to be there for this. This has got to be one that most of the people we passed in the park were dressed in outfits for The Last of Us. I mean, they had clickers and all these different things. And this was more based on the video game, but you have the show that just came out. So the expectation was really high for this one. We get there, and again, we're missing all the scares. The one good thing I do got to say out of it was the really cool visuals. If you looked in certain areas, you could catch glimpses of screens, and it would show like things going on in the game and stuff like that, which was really cool. But for overall, I left dry. It was so bad. I didn't feel like it was complete enough. Now, maybe if we got the scares, maybe there was something we didn't see, but it just felt like we was walking through a dark tunnel, and you would see a cool visual.
It was more lit up than Monsters Unmasked. Monsters Unmasked had a lot of like turns and stuff. You would just walk into walls, like corners.
Oh, you would, straight up.
But Last of Us, I felt like the direction was a little bit better, but they could have just done so much more.
Yeah.
They could have added more to the story. All
right. Next, we left The Last of Us. The next one, which was the same basic lines, was The Darkest Deal. And The Darkest Deal was kind of a Louisiana jazz rock, makes a deal with the devil. I'm off.
Where are you at?
Right here. H.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm right.
I was thinking Dr. Fetley, yeah.
Yeah, Darkest Deal was the next one, and it was Louisiana themed, make a deal with the devil to become like a superstar kind of thing going on. The people were very well dressed. It was different. It was, pretty long, but there was a scene where a guy was on stage, and then later there was another scene where there was a guy on stage. It looked like the same outfit. Maybe I missed the whole theory behind that or what was going on, but I just must have missed it because it really fell flat for me. But The Darkest Deal, I gave a 3 out of 10. The actors did great, don't get me wrong. It was just, I was kind of lost the whole time.
So you didn't like the story?
No.
Okay. Well, for me, Darkest Deal was the letter H. I gave it an 8, almost a 10, just because I felt like, compared to the other ones, it was, that we went through, it was a lot better. It was more memorable for me. I like the set. I like the fact that we were dealing with, like, say, the bluesy type area, the southern states. Like, I think of Louisiana, which is, like, New Orleans and voodoo and all that. And the devil. So it kind of scared me a little bit. And the actors were dressed really cool. Their eyes were scary. And they made a lot of eye contact with me. So that kind of freaked me out a little bit. So I thought the costuming was great. The timing for me was good. I think for him, he was like looking in a different direction when I looked straight into the scary actors and they would hop out at me. So I think for me, the timing was a lot better. The spacing was a little bit better as well. There was a weird person in front of us, behind us, and he kept talking to them. And it's like, that kind of breaks character for them and for us because we're trying to be in a haunted house, like not trying to... We were trying to make it feel like it's real, and he just brought it back to reality, like, oh, these people are in costume. Anyway, but I just felt like the actors were trying harder, and that they were better in character. So I liked the house. It was cool. It was different.
Same thing though. Long line express pass helped out big time. You don't want to be caught out there just standing in line for hours upon hours because some of those lines got up to 80 and 85 minutes. So. If you can afford it, definitely express pass. If not, make the best use of your time and pick the ones that are necessary for you to go to.
Oh, and stay hydrated because it was super, super hot. We were sweating really, really bad. Mm-hmm. And if you have a cup, make sure it has a lid because they will make you throw it out before you enter each house.
Anything you can do to cool yourself down. It was just blistering hot.
Yeah.
All right, next up was Dr. Oddfellow.
Letter G.
That was the letter G. And it was a circus theme coming up to it. We had to walk all the way around this building. We finally got to it. Same long line, same thing. But we got through it relatively quickly. First impression kind of reminded me of Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which she told me it was there last year. Man.
In Hollywood, I believe.
Hollywood? Okay.
You would really like that.
It was decent. I rated this a 4 out of 10. It was a decent circus theme. Nothing really stood out crazy. I'm not familiar with Dr. Oddfellow. I don't know the theme. Maybe if I knew more about it, it would be better for me. But that was like the general opening ceremony and everything, and I just stood there because I didn't know what was going on. So most of this, I feel like, is me not researching it and finding out what was going on. I think it would have been more enjoyable had I researched it.
So yes, you guys should go back and go to the podcast and listen to it and all that because I didn't do that either.
Right. So this one here was different for me because I'm walking through it trying to figure it out. Like, why is this a horror house? What's going on? Because I don't know who he is. I don't know what's going on. However, I will say this. The actors in this one did an amazing job. They really tried their best to get you in on it. I felt like this was the first one where they were more involved than the other one. So I did appreciate that.
That's probably why you rated it a little bit higher than me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I rated it a 3, kind of a 4. It was interesting theming because it was circus themed, and circus, odd people, the horrors behind like what's going on with circus and stuff like that. Apparently, he used the zodiac to try to, I think, what do you call it? Improve his immortality, and he lived for several decades. And so the theming was interesting. There was a lot of good costuming and stuff like that. And then, you think of a circus, you think of clowns too, so it's, pretty creepy. So we walked through this big tent, and then there's these different characters that we met and different props. So it was cool. I kind of liked it. But yeah, I gave it a 3. It wasn't very scary. You would think it would be scary, but I didn't really feel scared. And I felt like it was missing something. But it was a lot longer than a lot of the other sets. So I did appreciate that. It just wasn't scary to me. Okay.
After we left that, we walked over to the Fast and Furious set for the queue for Fast and Furious. It was awesome going through there. This was for Chucky. Same thing. The regular line was pretty long. The normal line wasn't. So we was able to go through the express line. Made it in relatively quickly. I think it was longer than 15-minute wait on this one, but the line was super long. Now, going in there and seeing the Fast and Furious stuff, we was able to look around and see things that we had seen on other videos, which made it really fun. However, Chucky. This is a major movie that led on to a bunch of other movies, that led on to TV shows, brides, kids, all kinds of weird episodes of it. It so dropped the ball in every way that you can drop the ball. This is the worst rating I'm going to give on the night because I'm an older guy, and the first Chucky was scary. It was in the 80s. It was a scary movie. Now, just like all the other 80 horror movies, they start talking to you more. They become your buddies. They goof off with you later on in later episodes. But the first Chucky, he was there to kill. And this led on to more of a clowny Chucky, making jokes with people. They dropped the ball on the visuals. It felt just packed in there. It felt like, hey, we're just doing something with Chucky. Let's do something. I didn't like it. Everything was just off. There was nothing scary in there. It was just like walking through, and I just felt like I'm going to do one spoiler. There's one room you go into, and it's a bunch of Chucky boxes, okay? Man, there should have been a point where all of them open up and they scare the heck out of you. Nothing happened, and that was
we just walked through expecting more. I mean, there was a puppet that spoke at you, but
yeah. Even the on the other sets we had seen up to this point, the backdrops and everything looked realistic. At least this looked fake and cheesy and had you could obviously tell that's just a cheap mannequin or something. It just looked horrible.
It's a puppet.
No, not that. The dead bodies and stuff.
Oh,
it just looked really weird. I gave it a 1 out of 10. That's the worst rating.
I gave it a 3. I did like walking through. The queue was kind of interesting. There was TV screens everywhere. It was building in anticipation, and this is not really based on the movie. This is based on the new show, I guess, on USA. But if this is based on the new show, I don't really want to watch it because it was just kitschy. It was very cheap. I know Chucky's a doll, but they could have just done so much more. The actors weren't really scary. Nothing about it was scary. I know it's Chucky. My friend used to watch Chucky and would just laugh the whole entire movie. And as a kid, you're like, oh my gosh, the killer doll, scary, whatever. Yeah, wasn't very good. I didn't care for the theming, and I felt like they could have made us feel like he was stalking us, trying to get at us, but it just wasn't very good. And then it was probably too crowded for us to enjoy, and then again with the bad timing. So, but also this was probably toward the middle of all the haunted houses. So I guess everybody had gone through and everybody was meeting at the same place. So the line was probably a little bit longer than some of the other houses as well. So
Now, we had this about this time, we were about halfway done. So we kind of felt a little let down so far because they were not rating very high, and this one really didn't help.
We expected so much more from Halloween
yeah.
Horror Nights.
However, the next one, which was letter E on the list, was Yeti. And same thing, long line, long queue. We waited quite a bit for this one. I think we waited like almost 20, 25 minutes for this one. However, the regular line was way longer, so super happy with the express. This one, I probably should have gave it a little bit more, but I gave it a 7 out of 10. And it was a solid scare, but we missed quite a few of it. But there was a couple reasons why I liked it more than the others. It had really good visuals. All the rooms were really thought out. You could take out the Yeti and put Jason Voorhees in there, and it would be just as scary. I mean, it was just that cool. It was like campground, haunted woods. I mean, just insane. And you really felt like you was walking through the woods. They really pulled it off quite well. It was very thought out, but we only got about half the scares. What made it really great for me was this guy in front of me who just thought he was Mr. Tough Guy, Mr. King Guy, and he was walking through like, man, this bear come through a wall, and I'm going to tell you what, it scared the holy crap out of him. He almost hit the floor, took off running. I'm mad because it didn't happen to me. I would have loved to have been scared, but it was even better seeing him freak out because that changed this dude's whole attitude. I mean, he just thought it was nothing, and it did. It scared the crap out of him. Oh, my gosh.
Now, the fun part about haunted houses for me or watching anything horror is watching other people's reaction. And that was so worth it just to like see him react that way. So like I am sad that we didn't get the actual scare, but at least we saw somebody else get it.
It was worth it.
All right. So Yeti. This is about almost halfway point for us. I gave it a 7 also. I thought the set was great. Same as him. Campground, all that. Like, okay, cool. You know, we're going to go camping in the woods and something's out to get me. So it was believable. The costumes were great. Like, he was talking about that bear. There's a big old guy in a bear suit with a big, like, it was creepy. And I just don't understand why it was a bear when it's supposed to be Yeti. But I guess you gotta figure out, like, what's out there to get you. Is it a bear? Is it a Yeti? What is it? A man? Like, what is it? But there was good jump scares, and then the theming was there. We understood it, and then we just had a lot of fun. So that was Yeti. I gave it a 7.
When we left that line, we found the exit. We were immediately right to the line of Dueling Dragons, which was letter D. Again, same long wait as Yeti, same spot. You almost entered right next door to it, so it kind of went around the same way. Dueling Dragons, I gave a 3 out of 10 because I was lost. I don't know what it is. I don't know what. I mean, it's got guys in white outfits with blue lights. It's got guys in red outfits with yellow lights. It reminded me like laser tag or something. And, I'm sitting here trying to figure out what's going on. I hear the story talking. At the end, you got to pick a different way to go. Nothing was scary about it. It's just a bunch of people with like icicle fingers and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't get it. I give this a 3 out of 10 because I have no clue what was going on there. It was really weird. And then when we got to the end, I said, hey, let's go ice. Lo and behold, I always pick the wrong thing to do, okay? So when I said ice, we went into one other room and it was over. I don't even know what happened. Everybody else was still in there going through fire. Don't go ice, go fire.
I don't know how long the fire
I don't care. Don't go ice, go fire, all right? So when you get a split up, go fire. Go to the left, all right? Don't go right. Because we went into one other room. I saw the wizard and that was over. I was like, what in the heck happened?
We probably should have, one probably should have done fire, one probably should have done ice. But, it was our first time together, and haunted houses I don't really go by myself. So, yeah. So, I rated D, the Dueling Dragons, a 5, maybe a 6, probably a 5. I thought the set was cool. Like, you can tell that there a lot of production went into that. There was cool details, but I didn't understand the story. Like, I know that Dueling Dragons was based on the actual ride at Universal before Hagrid took over at Islands of Adventure. I never got to ride Dueling Dragons, but as we walked through, I didn't understand what was going on either. Like fire against ice, like these are wizards. Like you said, those was it the yellow lights and the red lights. I mean, I don't understand what was so scary about it. It was just a bunch of people in masks and like cloaks. Like I don't know. And then apparently we chose the right way. You know, or maybe, I don't know, maybe they say it in the fireside too. I don't know what they say because we both went through ice, but it was just like one or a couple more jump scares and we were out. But we just went through it like, what in the world was that? So
I think leaving, we were just confused. We looked at each other and was like, it's over? Like,
yeah,
what
but
was
I mean,
that?
the time, I said the timing was good on some of the scares. It's been a couple of days. We probably should have done it like right after while it was fresh. But yeah, we just didn't understand it.
Okay, at this point, it was been an up and down experience.
We were tired, we were
hot, sweaty, drenched. We done drank 5 gallons of water. I mean, we were pain, chafe. I mean, everything was going on. It was all bad. We walked through a line of dancing hippies that turned out to be vampire hippies and all this other stuff going on, which was cool to catch up to more of the back end of the park's themes. And
the scare zones
that
was great. I like the scare zones.
Yeah,
they weren't scary, but they were fun to walk through.
Absolutely. But the next one we came to was Stranger Things.
That was letter C.
That was letter C. So this one, just like Last of Us, big production, show behind it, everything like that. So after seeing Last of Us, I was kind of down, wondering what it would be. But as soon as you walk in, and I'm telling you, as soon as you walk in, you're in the show. You're there. It's happening. I gave this a 10 out of 10. This was the best one at the park. And it's not because I'm biased to Stranger Things. I like Stranger Things, but I like Last of Us too. It was complete front to back. I mean, just absolutely complete. I was hoping to see the one scene I wanted to see was Eddie and Dustin on the roof. They had it. I mean, but the best scene wasn't even that. I mean, when I got there, it looked like Eddie and Dustin. It really, really looked like them. The characters were amazing. But when you go down this hallway, next thing you know, there's a scene, verse 11, verse 1. And that blew my mind. It looked so real. It was just great. And then the costumes were great all around. It was the best one there.
All right. So, yes. So, we were almost finished. So, Stranger Things, I watched this show and finished it right before we went to Halloween Horror Nights because I was so excited about this house. This house was the one I wanted to see. And it was everything that I thought it would be. It was a 10. And then the acting was great. The set was great. Like, you saw the mobile homes. Like, you saw all these scenes from the lab. Like, the characters were spot on. Like, 11 and what's her name? Max. I don't remember Max. But the girl with the, what's her name? Ethan Hawke's.
Oh, what's her name? I don't know. It's off the top.
But like, she looked just like her, yeah. And then like Eddie was there. I mean, it was great. It was awesome. And then we went into each room like, wow, like this was so freaking awesome. The acting was just great. Like we got a few jump scares in there, but we were just so like immersed into this. Like we felt like we were there with the actors. Like we were actually watching the scene in like live in person, and it was great.
Seeing this really set a bad tone for The Last of Us because that's what I expected from Last of Us.
That's what we expected from all the houses. That's what we expected
from all of them. But this really, at this point, we were kind of like up and down about the whole thing, but this kind of rejuvenated us to get through the next two, because we were going backward. We left there, that we had plenty of energy, we watered up, we went on to the next one. We'll take the next one.
Yeah, so the next one we went to was The Exorcist, and this is actually based on the newest Exorcist that's coming out in October, and I was really excited about this. I haven't seen the previous Exorcist, but I've seen scenes from it, from the old movies and stuff like that, and I knew it was going to be creepy. I mean, it's demonic, it's classic. So we walked through this house, and you weren't sure what to expect. Like, we just knew it was going to be scary. Well, I love the themes of this house. It was scarier than most of the other ones. I felt like the acting was great. The costumes was good. There was this one room. It was the possession room where it was like a, I don't know what to call it, like a, where they were
Seance.
not a seance. What's the opposite when you try to put them back in their regular form?
Oh yeah, they're doing an exorcism.
Yeah, when they were doing the actual exorcism, that was creepy.
That
And
was cool.
the lighting and everything was just great throughout that. It was dark and creepy, but you could see through the house, and it felt like you were in the movie too. So it was great. And then the spacing was good for us. We got a lot of good scares. Oh, I forgot. I gave it a 9. So a solid 9 for that one. Look forward to it. So just like Stranger Things.
I gave this a 7. It could have been an 8 easy, even higher. But I gave it a 7 just because I missed a few of the scares. I was being kind of pushed through, trying to keep up with the next group. Terry, she got more behind me.
I got more scares.
But that's all based on experience. Your all's experiences could be totally different. But The Exorcist Believer, the line was not that long. You gave it a 7 out of 10. It has some great visuals. This place, they really thought it out. It had the stair scene that really got me because you kept corner of the eye seeing something run past, but every time you looked, it would never do it. So as you was walking, this little stair, something would run past, but you'd look over, it would not do it again. I could not get it to do it again. That was really creepy because that's what you have nightmares of. The possession room was just absolutely amazing. It was probably my second favorite room out of the whole park. I mean, it was just really creepy. You walked in there, it was doing some chants. I mean, it was just, it kept it intense. Like you felt the tension in the room. But it was very complete. I liked it. She liked it. So that was 2 in a row of good ones.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we felt like we had a rush to get to the houses because, we wanted to check out some of the rides and stuff too because it was his first time going through Universal. But we wanted to make sure we hit all the houses. So we kind of try to get through the lines as quickly as possible. Luckily, we had the express pass. Anyways, finally, our last and final house was A, and it was Dark Offerings.
Blood Moon.
Huh?
Blood Moon.
Blood Moon Dark Offerings. Mm-hmm. And I gave it an 8. I really, really enjoy the set. I probably could give it a 9. I like The Exorcist just as much as I did Dark Offerings. I really like the set. There was a lot of good jump scares. There was classic movie scenes, horror that you would expect. It was just, the costumes are great. It was really, really memorable. There were a couple of scenes where I was really afraid to turn a corner and something was gonna come get me, or pull me to the side and kidnap me and take me somewhere scary. They were gonna make me join this cult or whatever. So I thought it was great. So
I gave it an 8 of 10. Also, to me, it's the second best one there. It's, you go through it, it's very redneckish at first, animals being eaten, cut up, things like that. It's almost like one of those movies like Wrong Turn, Lost in the Woods, something like that, where you're somewhere you shouldn't be at. It's one of the more realistic parts. It's something like you feel like you could actually run into. It had the best room out of all the rooms you go into. To me, the best one
of the scenes, yeah,
was a church scene. When you go in there and it's just a bunch of bags with bodies in it, and they're all put in the pews and all that stuff. And oh my gosh, that's something, I swear, if you grew up around churches, that's something that gives you the heebie-jeebie creebies. Okay, I walked in that room, I had to stop for a second before I proceeded. And
you were scared?
Yeah, it was a little scary going into that one because that's something I could actually have a nightmare of.
That was scary.
And there's all these things you don't know who's live, who's fake, what's going on, and the jumps. Oh my goodness, that was such a great room. So to have that in there, it just really, really just made it awesome.
Brought that scare factor
way
up.
It really scared it up. The only problem I had was we had obviously some people in front of us that worked there or something, and they did this the whole time.
Yeah, they did. They did talk a lot, but it didn't bother me because I was too busy looking around.
Bothered me that was right in front of me.
But that scene with the church pews that he said, it reminded me of Insidious 2, where you're in the scene and there's all these bodies. It just was really, really scary. Like it could probably bring me nightmares, but we should have went through the last 3 houses over again. But we didn't.
Yeah.
Like
I completely forgot where we were at when we went in that church scene. I'm glad nothing jumped up at me because I probably would have swung. But
we would have gotten kicked out.
Yeah.
But at least we would have finished the house. So
No, I wouldn't have swung, but it was that scary. I mean, it really put you in that set, and it made it so believable. I can't emphasize that enough. Stranger Things, you already kind of know what's going on. This, you had no clue you was getting ready to walk into this, so it definitely threw you off.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and it was also set in colonial times, and like I think of like I don't want to say the Pilgrim. Oh no, what do you call it? The Salem witch trials and all like that. Like that's creepy. Like they could just come and get you because they think you're a witch. Like you could get killed. Like I don't know. It was dark. It was scary. We were in the woods. We were in houses, like a church. Like it was scary. So. But yeah, that was our take on all the haunted houses. There were a few rides open that we wanted to check out, but some of them were already closed, so there wasn't a whole lot. It was definitely a lot less crowded by the time we got finished. I think it was close to midnight by the time we got all the way through. Even with Express, it took us quite a bit of time. Like we cooled off a few times and took a few breaks because it was so hot and we needed to rehydrate and everything, but we got these Halloween Horror Night cups, which were nice, and there were a lot of fill-up stations to fill it up, and that was just nice.
Now, if you look at the park in general and you see the circle that you go around, it doesn't really seem that big, maybe a mile and a half or something like that. We did 9 miles of walking, over 9 miles of walking.
We kept looping around and around.
So if you ever go, exercise, be in shape for this because you do a lot of walking. Bring things to help you keep dry, change your underwear, change clothes. I mean, everything you can do to combat that. Change your socks. I don't care who you are, you're going to get blisters with that kind of walking.
You are going to chafe, so make sure you wear things that will protect your legs.
You get hot and sweaty, then you dry. Then you get hot and sweaty, then you dry. So do everything you can to protect yourself. We had the fortunate, here's what I really want to emphasize on. We started one way and did them backwards. Now, at first it seemed kind of dull, but that really turned out to work in our benefit because after a few, they just kept getting better and better and better. Yeah. And by this point, instead of being upset that we're halfway done and it didn't seem that good, it finished really strong. So take that into consideration if you go, that you might want to try them backwards, because I would much rather it get better and better than go in, see the best ones right off the bat, and then all the other ones not even be close, So, but again, your experience might differ from ours depending on who you're with and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you might connect more with the classic monsters versus the TV movie type of sets, haunted-based houses. But we really, really liked the bigger production type ones.
Except Last of Us. Y'all dropped the ball on that.
That was so disappointing.
Yeah, they need to fix that, because seeing Stranger Things and what Stranger Things was capable of, Last of Us was fully capable of that too, and it just dropped the ball.
Mm-hmm. Well, they could have just made it longer. I don't know why maybe they ran out of money. I don't know, but you would think that PlayStation would have offered some money to help with the production.
I think we got there on everybody's lunch break.
It just opened.
What I'm saying though is it just seemed empty and not that good.
They just could have done so much more.
Yep.
All right, but we did go on Thursday. Maybe there was less actors.
No idea.
We don't know.
But all the people there were very supportive of the actors. Every time that they did walk through anywhere, there was a lot of clapping for them. Universal put on
and
a great
behind the
production.
scenes, and when they had to walk through some of the lines to get to the houses. Mm. But that looked like they did shift changes often, so those people in costumes and everything weren't overworked. So. And
I got to go to Diagon Alley and get a butterbeer.
He did, but just cool. Unfortunate that Green Gots was closed. The ride was closed, so.
You get to see the dragon breathe the fire, though. That was cool too.
We did, yeah, he did. That was my first time there that late, and I really enjoyed it. So I would do it again. I don't know if I would go next year. It just depends on maybe the houses. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And now you're better prepared for the other parks that we're going to go to later on. So that is basically our wrap up of Universal's Halloween Horror Nights 2023.
So if you like this video, click the like button below and hit follow and share this with your friends.
Yeah. Well, it's mainly just to go to my friends.